welcome to another episode of Diary of a Wannabe Comedian with me, Belle, a wannabe comedian. And I am busy thinking about the weekend. I'm going to Birmingham for the Equity AGM. I don't know what to expect, but they pay for your hotel, they pay for your travel, so what's not to like? It's a busy old schedule. There's 2 days, so it starts Saturday lunchtime and it finishes Monday lunchtime. And they have quite a packed agenda, is that the right word? There's lots going on, there's dinners, there's all sorts, and it's across several venues. So yeah, I should have something interesting to say on Monday. I actually had the branch meeting on Monday, this Monday just gone, had the branch meeting in the evening because I did my podcast earlier before I left. And it's amazing actually how many famous people are members, because they all sent their apologies. None of them actually turned up. But it's interesting hearing the names. It's like, I know that person. I know what they've been in. But there you are. Maybe they'll come along one day and I can be a sort of weird fangirl. I never do that, obviously. Do I, Ricky Gervais? Anyway, moving on. I have actually booked some gigs. I promised you I would, and I have. I've booked 2 gigs and I'm waiting to hear about other ones. I'm actually a bit stuck at the moment because I've forgotten which are the non-bringers. I've discussed this before about having to take somebody along, bring your own audience, and how tough that is. Also, my traditional bringers are just being very quiet on me, so I think they've obviously had enough. So I'm just going to have to focus on the non-bringers, but they're just soul-destroying, some of them. You know, just performing to a room full of comedians, of which there are only 10, is quite difficult sometimes. So, but I have bitten the bullet and I've booked one of those. And obviously I'm exploring outside London. I've got my big Plymouth gig, which is 10 minutes. I've got a few 10 minutes coming up, actually. So we will keep plugging away. That's pretty much all I've got to say, really. I'm trying to think. Oh, I went to the cinema yesterday, of course. I went to see, what was it called? It was the tennis one, Challengers? Yeah, Challengers. And that was okay. I absolutely hated the editing and some of the direction. There wasn't any gratuitous sex, but there was a lot of kissing, which that's fine. So it gets a big tick in that respect. But it was just so loud. I mean, some of that is the cinema, playing it very loudly, obviously. But the music was really, I know it was there to get your heart rate going. And it did, but it just didn't always match up with what you were seeing visually. I found it quite tough. It was about a love triangle. And it's nice to see 2 guys fighting over a woman for a change. Normally it's the other way around. There's actually a measure for that. What's that called? Hang on, I'm going to Google it. It's called the Bechdel test, also known as the Bechdel-Wallace test. It's a test to measure the representation of women in film and other fiction. The test asks whether a work features at least 2 female characters who have a conversation about something other than a man. There you go. Every day's a school day. It was actually Matt that told me about that. I've never heard of it. But it is true, when you look at some older movies, women only ever have conversations about a man. So yeah, this film was good in that respect, that it completely flipped it on its head. And there was no gratuitous sex, so, I shouldn't really complain. I'm off out now with Matt. We are going to see, what are we going to see? Hang on. A charity comedy special. I will tell you more about that on Monday, as well as an update on my weekend in Birmingham. Much love and gratitude.